Ha, ha, ha. I guess we are going to talk about it, eh? Oh boy, this is going to be a doozy. Today we're talking about two of my favorite teams in the Vancouver Canucks and the Detroit Red Wings, because of a trade idea went out there and talked about by one David Pagnotta on yesterday's episode of the Sheet podcast with Jeff Merrick. Now, Pagnotta, of course, is the main guy behind the fourth period, and you can have your reservations, your opinions, your thoughts as to how it is he does his job and the legitimacy as to the things that he reports. But I'll say this right here. David Pagnotta always knows how to get a conversation going amongst fans, and that is absolutely what we are greeted to when reviewing his comments made yesterday. Because he went out there and spoke about the Detroit Red Wings and how they have a lot of different assets. He thinks Vancouver, he thinks they're going to want immediate star power if the Canucks are trading Quinn Hughes. So Pagnotta says he looks to a guy like Lucas Raymond as the centerpiece of a trade. Now, yesterday, we did make a video talking about the idea of Quinn Hughes going over to Philadelphia. And the main idea in that conversation was whether or not a player like Porter Martone would be available for Vancouver in a trade. Obviously, that's not ideal. Obviously, that's not a guy that I think Philadelphia Flyers fans would be interested in trading in the slightest. They just got him. 2025 recent draft pick, a top player, and one of the best young guys in the NCAA right now. Obviously, there is so much value in Porter Martone, and obviously it will sting if they get rid of that guy. But, as Anthony DeMarco, Philadelphia beat reporter, was going out there and saying, that's just kind of what you have to do when you're getting a player who is as valuable, as talented, as solid, as franchise-altering as Quinn Hughes. This is the price. You have to go out there and shell out value to get value. Just sending all your scraps and adding a first-round pick and adding another one if it doesn't go through and adding a third if it doesn't go through again like we do when we play Be a GM franchise mode in EA Sports, that doesn't work in real life. You have to give a lot of value. And so, for the Vancouver Canucks, if Quinn Hughes is on his way out, whether that's as a rental or as a potential long-term option for another team, doesn't matter if it's short-term, long-term, whatever, you're still going to get value for this guy. And this opens up an entire other conversation with the Detroit Red Wings that debates whether or not the Hughes bros will find themselves in Detroit at some point. Jack and Luke all join Quinn with the Michigan team because they're from Michigan. That's an entire other conversation. But for now, because Quinn Hughes is only under contract until the end of 26-27, it's a little bit difficult to go out there and speculate just where his long-term future is going to lie. If Quinn Hughes gets traded, yeah, okay, sure, the team that gets him is going to use him in 26-27, most likely. They're not going to acquire him to be a rental in 2026. They'd acquire him to be a rental for 26 and 27. But there also is the maybe less than 50% possibility that if Quinn Hughes does go to a new team, maybe he decides to sign with them instead. Maybe they have a winning culture, maybe they have a winning team, maybe Quinn doesn't need to be the captain anymore and he doesn't need to step up to the big media pressure that is in Vancouver. Not saying that he's not equipped to do that, just saying that based off the body language we have seen recently out of the Canucks captain, I would understand if the conclusion really is that he's getting kind of sick and tired of it at this point. Which is why we talk about Detroit, a team that could have avoided all of this Quinn Hughes trade speculation if they just drafted the darn guy back in 2018. They had the chance to do so, they took Zadina instead. Zadina didn't really become anything, and Quinn Hughes is now the best franchise defenseman in Canucks history. But if Detroit were to dip their toes into the Quinn Hughes sweepstakes and actually propose a serious offer for the guy, there are folks going out there and saying that a guy like Lucas Raymond wouldn't be enough. I disagree, BW Hockey says, and I'm a Canucks fan. I think Edvinsson or ASP with Kasper or Danielson and the first-round pick. Another reply says no shot the Wings move Raymond even for Hughes. Trading Raymond and risk losing Quinn as a UFA? And then you have Hell's Corner going out there and saying that Seider and Raymond are cornerstones for this Detroit Red Wings franchise. Stevie Y would hang up the phone on anybody mentioning Raymond or Seider. And that perspective is fair too. You look at the Red Wings and they have had pretty good success with their top guys this season. I'd say Raymond, Kane, Larkin, DeBrincat have been solid. A number of other guys, though, need to step it up. And so, if you're trading away one of the only solid pieces offensively that the team has, obviously that's not ideal. You would be getting a player like Quinn Hughes in return, that's assuming a trade like this is even validated by either GM, but, it's not guaranteed that you will even be able to recover offensively. Quinn Hughes is talented, he can get 90 points a season. He honestly, at his peak, is capable of 100 points in a season. But in Detroit, all of a sudden things get moved around so much that I kind of question whether or not that is worth it for the Red Wings. It's kind of funny because it's like, yeah, you think about Quinn, top offensive defenseman in the NHL. Like, there's only one guy better than him, realistically speaking. And for the Detroit Red Wings, they already have some sort of a conversation, a discourse going on as to power play one right now with Seider and Axel Sandin Pellikka. Oh, do you go with the guy who has been there longer in Seider, or do you go with the guy who is going to be there longer in the future in ASP? Do you take away the minutes for Seider? Do you take away the production there? But then if Quinn Hughes enters the mix, it's like, all right, well, screw that. It's not going to be either of them. It's going to be Quinn. Who goes on power play 2? Do you run 2 D-men over there? Either one of ASP or Mo Seider is going to lose out on their power play spot, unless, of course, a Lucas Raymond and an Axel Sandin Pellikka gets moved over for Quinn Hughes. At that point, it's just like, wow. Marcus Pettersson, Tom Wielander, Nils Höglander, Elias Pettersson, Lucas Raymond, Axel Sandin Pellikka. You could have an entire power play unit of just Swedish dudes. You can have almost full D-core of Swedish dudes too. You thought that Albert Johansson, Simon Edvinsson, Axel Sandin Pellikka, and what's the last one over there? Gustafsson. You could toss him into that conversation too. You thought that those guys were the only Swedes that existed? Well, shucks, there are a bunch of others in Vancouver. But at the end of the day, even though this is a pretty reasonably valued trade idea, I don't think it's fully there yet. I think Detroit and Lucas Raymond probably has a lot more they'd need to give up if they're getting Quinn Hughes in return, especially if there's an extension tied to that as well. If it's just 1 year Quinn Hughes, honestly, I think that it diminishes the value quite a bit, but still, you wouldn't be able to get it done with just Lucas Raymond. If it's Quinn Hughes long-term, though, for the rest of his career, he gets 7-8 years on a contract extension, then man, oh man, you gotta give up the sun and the moon to get this guy off of Vancouver's hands. The only issue is, if it's become blatantly obvious that he does want to leave and that he's not going to stick around in Vancouver, does that reduce Vancouver's leverage, and by how much? I think commentary videos like this might be exacerbating the issue, but yeah, no, you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about that. Either way, Quinn Hughes, Lucas Raymond, do you think it's a fair trade, assuming there would be some extra stuff added on Detroit's POV? What do you think those extra assets are to make it balanced? Let me know in the comments all your opinions. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.